What is up, guys? Fair and Unfair here.
I am fair.
And I'm Unfair, and today we're going to be taxing, but not in modern.
I don't like taxes.
Well, the only things that are true in life are death and taxes, and we're going to be doing at least one of those things, hopefully killing our opponents in the process. But let's go ahead and get into historic taxes, and let's get into the set tech.
Okay, so with Historic Anthologies 4 dropping, we have the sweet edition of Throbbing Inspector and Declaration in Stone. Most of our cards are creatures. We got Selfless Saviors to protect the cards that matter. Throbbing Inspector draws cards. This makes extra bodies. It's just solid 1-drops. Daunted Vanguard is a resistant creature to death.
It's a good threat.
Yeah, why not? Really tax them, make them work really hard to kill it.
Mm-hmm.
Deck and Stone's great removal. It can also, if they have a bunch of tokens, sweeps them all away. Great. Luminarch Aspirate makes their things bigger. Great. Main board Flying, 2 power, 2 mana.
Deal with
Exiles
the
a
graveyard.
Yeah, great card. The Tax Lady herself, Thalia.
It wouldn't be taxes without her.
It really would. It'd just be like
Mono white weenies.
some guy like asking for change outside of a movie theater or something. Archon of Ameria. Great for anything wanting to play a bunch of spells. Like the Lurrus decks like to chain stuff, so this is great there. It's great for anything with a bunch of non-basics. Like if they're playing 4-color nonsense, they're probably gonna die. This lets you evade their creatures and make your things bigger. It gives your creatures first strike if you need to hold them back and block. Apparition is removal on a stick. It's just one of the best white cards ever printed, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Knowledge Marshal's a nice card to just like anthem the team. It's a solid 3-mana spell. Like there are other cards you could play in this spot, but I've been very happy with this.
Mm-hmm.
Just got 20 lands, 18 plains, and 2 castles. For the sideboard, we've got Authority for aggressive decks, Grafdigger's Cage for graveyard/goblins, Hidden Priest for company decks and goblins, Springers for goblins. It also deals with a lot of things.
Deals with opposing Skyclave apparitions, stuff like that.
Oh, angels also.
And angels, yeah.
Really good. Recipes for graveyards, Gideons for anything playing a lot of removal or like slower decks where you just want to like really
Gain extra life.
Occasionally exile permanent. Got Linvala. He pointed out that this actually just beats the sacrifice decks. They can't do a single thing.
Yep, it stops sacrifice completely. It also stops most of goblins. Again, goblins is just a really powerful deck, so you want to be able to deal with it. And it is also able to stop just a lot of random activated abilities, because this is a wider format, so having a very good catch-all is nice.
I think that anthologies really, really help this deck, but let's get in some games.
Alright, so this hand we have a couple 2-drops, a couple 3-drops. Thalia and Archon are our primary taxers.
And generally any hand with like 2 or 3 lands and then like 2-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop is perfectly fine. Also, yeah. Archon is just like the unsung hero of this deck.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to keep this one.
And Skyclave Apparition is also really good, being able to deal with a lot of things that you usually wouldn't be able to.
And them not having a play on turn 1 is great for us.
Yeah. You generally will have a turn 1 play with this deck, considering the fact that you're playing 9 1-drops, but you don't have to mull until you get to that.
Okay, it's cool.
Yep.
So we probably start with Thalia here.
Yep, it's able to block most of their threats pretty effectively. Skyclave Apparition being able to deal with their bigger creatures, like their 3-drop, what is it called? Riot Breaker? Spellbreaker, yeah.
Rule Spellbreaker, that's it.
Being able to get rid of that, School Rule Spellbreaker, is really effective. I think we take the damage here.
Yeah, we definitely take the damage here. Do we...
Usher of the Fallen is an interesting draw. We're definitely going to play one of our 3-drops here.
I think it has to be the Apparition here.
I like Apparition. I think we hit the Spellbreaker. The Spellbreaker has Trample.
Yeah.
And the Voltaic Brawler will hit for 3 one more time, and then after that, 4 one more time, and then afterwards Thalia is a perfect counter.
Do we just attack for 2, or do we hold it back in case they have a Robber of the Ridge?
I think if they had a Robber of the Ridge, they would have played it on turn 2. I think we attack.
Okay.
Like, the thing that they're most likely to play is another one of the Spellbreakers, or a Rampaging Grossedon. Questing Beast is good too. We wouldn't have been able to block it anyway, so that's fine.
That's true.
This deck does suffer against super aggressive decks occasionally, but there are very often chances for you to be able to fight through it.
We are probably just dead here.
Yeah, we don't have any way to block the Questing Beast at all.
And any amount of damage just kills us.
Yeah.
We play through it just because, but we're probably just very dead.
One thing to note, if you're ever playing Archon of Emeria, a lot of people don't really know how to play with the card because it is a very unique card. But Archon of Emeria, you have to play this. If you want to play 2 spells, one of which being Archon, make sure you play the other spell first. Otherwise, Archon will stop you from playing the second spell because it does affect you as well.
Texas.
Archon of Emeria is a very, very good card.
So the Archon is the glowing dude on top of the Griffin, right?
Sure. I'm genuinely.
I assume.
Archons dispense justice according to an ancient and flawed premise. That doesn't help at all.
I have to assume it's the glowy guy.
Yeah. That's probably just going to put it in because the Voltaic Brawler will now be able to swing with Trample.
Yep. Well, game 2.
Yep, and let's go ahead and do our sideboard, and we'll be right back. For our sideboarding, we brought in 2 Hushbringers and 2 Authority of the Consuls. Hushbringer is able to stop their Burning Tree Emissaries as well as their Voltaic Brawlers from having good ETB effects. And then Authority of the Consuls slows them down considerably. I think if we're already on a mold of 5, I think we have to keep this.
We keep it probably drop this and this.
Yeah, I would agree. Adonto Vanguard isn't nearly as good as Luminarch Aspirant against this deck. I think we play the Authority of the Consuls here.
Agreed.
It might slow them down enough to where we can protect ourselves. If we can get to 2 mana and have the double Aspirant on the field, I think we will be able to win. But at least we have 2 plays in a row, even with just a land. And they mulled the 4, so this is...
Oh my goodness, we have a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance. But at least we're still on even ground. Like, it's not going to be a stomp on either end. And we drew the land, so we should be able to win this.
We'll just start here in case we have another land next time we get to go, both of these.
Yeah, that would be ideal. I think we would put the second Luminarch Aspirant counter onto the first one as well, so we would just immediately have a 4/4. That would just be a really aggressive play, and then the next turn after that, we put the 2 counters onto the other one that's a 1/1. So
wonderful. So we just put them all here?
Yeah, because that way we're swinging for 4 right off the bat. The Scavenging Ooze isn't going to do anything this turn, and if they have a Stomp or something, they're going to spend their entire turn
I don't think they have it.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, Luminarch is out of range for everything right now, which is great.
All right.
That was a game.
A mold of 5 and a mold of 4.
And off to game 3. For those of you guys who don't come hang out with us on stream, by the way, we played this on Friday, and we ended up with a winning 10 matches out of 11.
If we draw a land, we're good.
I think this is fine to keep. We're on the draw. Worst case scenario, Luminarch Aspirant will get big on its own. Let's go. And not only that, like, one of the cool things about this deck is you are able to use a lot lower land count than a lot of other decks. Like, you usually want to be in, like, the 23-24 range with a lot of them. But since we top out our curve at 3 mana, we can affect... Oh,
I think we 100% do this because they have Stomp. And if they Stomp this, then it survives. This just dies.
That's fair.
And, like, they want us to pay life, so I think they're fine stomping this. Or maybe
true.
they just don't, and they waste it and, like, waste a turn.
Stomp would pretty much be Boris Charm against us here. Yeah, okay, that was a good call. I just really like Luminarch Aspirant. Building this deck, I wanted Luminarch Aspirant and Archon of Emeria in one deck together, and that was my whole premise for building this deck. And it was extremely effective. But what I was saying is, like, we ended up going on 10-1 with this deck on Friday.
We apparition here and take this, right?
Absolutely, yeah. That makes because that's a trampler very quickly.
Then it's the land drop also.
Yeah.
I don't think we attack though.
If we attack and they lose their creature, we're going to be able to attack for a lot next turn, though.
I guess we do go to 12, but that's not really that bad.
Yeah, since they're not being super aggressive against us.
Like if we get a 2-drop or a 1-drop, next turn's really good either way.
Yeah, I think we're fine paying the life if they decide to block, which I don't think they will.
No.
And if they attack here, we just offer up the trade. And we didn't have to. Unfortunately, that didn't really show the power of the deck as much as we would like it to. However, The cool thing about this deck is that we are able to pretty effectively play a lot of different things at a small low mana cost, so you can really play to your outs.
And it's a fairly aggressive deck with a lot of disruption, which I think is like its primary strength. Like, you have a lot of like small dudes who have small to medium bodies, but like with the disruption added on from like Thalia and Archon, it's just also Skyclave Apparition now. The card's so good.
Yeah, and then Luminarch Aspirant is able to make your board state extremely good. And having a decent amount of flying between the Archon, the Remorseful Cleric, and the Maul of the Skyclaves allows you to have a decent amount of evasive threats. If you want to have a really cool deck that will take a lot of time to really, you can get to know the deck and like change specific things, this is the deck that will definitely reward not only knowing the meta, but also just building a deck that works for you.
And it's also not a deck you have to like know inside and out to get started with. Like, you can play the deck and just like sort of see interactions like here and like, oh, this is kind of neat.
Mm-hmm. But if you liked the video, don't forget to hit the like button over there, the sub buttons over there, hit the bell, and comment on the deck as to what you think we should be playing next week, or if there's anything you'd be interested in seeing from us. But until next week, we will see you in the queues.
Can we play Tarmogoyf?